Back in 2010, you could fill your fuel tank, do a full week of grocery shopping, and still have change left from what the same trip costs you today. In just over 15 years, the world got dramatically more expensive, but not equally. Some countries saw prices double, others saw them triple, and a few somehow kept things almost stable. Today, we're putting three of the world's biggest economies head-to-head, India, the United States, and Europe, and comparing what life actually cost in 2010 versus 2026. Fuel, food, medicine, education, inflation, corruption, and even happiness. The results might completely change how you see your own country. Let's get into it. Let's start with the one price everyone feels: fuel. In 2010, a litre of petrol in India cost around 47 rupees. Today, in 2026, that same litre costs roughly 102 rupees. That's more than double, an increase of about 116%. Now the United States. Americans measure fuel by the gallon. In 2010, a gallon of gas averaged around $2.78. By 2026, that climbed to roughly $3.60, and it briefly spiked above $4 during a Middle East oil shock earlier this year. That's an increase of around 30%, much gentler than India. And Europe, traditionally the most expensive place on earth to drive. In 2010, European petrol averaged around €1.30 per litre. Today it sits near €1.83 per litre. Europeans pay this much mainly because up to 60% of their pump price is pure tax. So here's the headline: India's fuel more than doubled, the steepest rise of the three. America stayed the cheapest by far, and Europe stayed the most expensive, but rose more slowly than India. Next, the cost of getting around and getting away. Air travel tells a fascinating story. Globally, airfares have actually not risen as fast as most other costs. Competition and budget airlines kept them down. In India, a typical domestic flight that cost around 3,500 rupees in 2010 now costs roughly 5,500 to 6,000 rupees. A rise, but slower than inflation overall. But daily travel is a different story. In India, the price of a train ticket and city bus fare has climbed steadily, and app-based cabs, which barely existed in 2010, now dominate. In the US, a typical Uber or public transit ride has risen sharply since ride-hailing matured. And in Europe, high fuel taxes and congestion charges made city driving far more expensive. The pattern here: long-distance travel got relatively cheaper, but everyday local travel got more expensive everywhere. If you feel like your daily commute eats more of your salary than it used to, you're right. Now the essentials, the food on your table. In India, a kilogram of sugar cost around 30 rupees in 2010. Today it's roughly 45 rupees. Rice has climbed from about 25 rupees a kilo to around 50 or 60. Wheat flour has nearly doubled. For a country where most families cook every meal at home, this hits hard. In the United States, grocery inflation hit historically hard between 2021 and 2024. A bag of rice, a loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, many staples rose 30 to 50% in just a few years. Americans who hadn't noticed grocery prices in a decade suddenly felt them. In Europe, the food shock was even sharper in some countries, driven by the 2022 energy crisis. Sugar, cooking oil, and bread saw double-digit percentage jumps in a single year, the worst food inflation the continent had seen in decades. The takeaway food got more expensive everywhere, but the pain arrived differently. India saw a slow, steady climb over 15 years. The West saw a sudden, brutal spike concentrated in just 3 years. Two costs that shape entire lives: healthcare and education. Let's talk medicine first. India is famous as the pharmacy of the world. Generic drugs there are among the cheapest anywhere, often a fraction of Western prices. A common medicine costing a few rupees in India can cost many times more in the US. But even in India, private hospital costs and specialist care have risen fast. In the United States, healthcare is in a category of its own. It's the most expensive in the world by a wide margin. The same procedure or branded drug can cost 10, 20, even 50 times what it costs in India or Europe. Medical bills remain a leading cause of personal bankruptcy in America. Europe sits in the middle. Most countries offer public health care funded by taxes, so citizens pay far less at the point of care than Americans, though they pay for it through higher taxes. Now, education. In India, public education stayed affordable, but private schooling and coaching exploded into a massive industry. In the US, college tuition is the real story. It has risen faster than almost any other cost in the country, leaving graduates with enormous student debt. In much of Europe, university is free or nearly free, one of the biggest quality of life differences between the regions. If there's one chart that explains why young people feel financially squeezed, it's the cost of a degree in America versus the same degree in Germany, which can be close to zero. So who managed their prices best? Let's talk inflation. Inflation is simply how fast prices rise each year. A little is healthy, too much destroys savings. The United States and Europe historically ran low inflation, around 2% a year for over a decade. That's the good zone, but both were hit by a sharp spike in 2022, reaching 8 to 10%, the highest in 40 years, before cooling back down. India has historically run higher inflation, often 5 to 7% a year. That's the average zone, not a crisis, but it means prices roughly double every 10 to 14 years. It's why Indian fuel and food climbed so much more over our 15-year window. And bad inflation, that's countries like Venezuela, Argentina, or Turkey, where inflation has hit double or even triple digits, wiping out people's savings overnight. Compared to them, all three of our economies are relatively stable. The lesson: America and Europe kept inflation lowest over the long run. India's steady mid-level inflation is exactly why the then versus now gap feels so much bigger there. Money isn't just about prices, it's about trust. Let's talk corruption. Every year, Transparency International scores countries from 0, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean. This is the Corruption Perceptions Index. In the 2025 index, India scored 39 out of 100, ranking 91st in the world. That's an improvement from previous years, but still below the global average of 42, reflecting ongoing concerns in the public sector. The United States scores much higher, typically in the high 60s, placing it among the cleaner nations, though it has slipped somewhat in recent years. And Europe dominates the top of this list. The cleanest countries on Earth, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, are almost all European, routinely scoring 85 or above. Western Europe is, by this measure, the least corrupt region in the world. So on corruption, Europe leads decisively, the US sits comfortably clean, and India, while improving, still has a long way to go. And finally, the one that matters most: are people actually happy? The World Happiness Report ranks countries every year based on income, social support, health, freedom, generosity, and trust. In the 2026 report, here's the twist that surprises everyone. India ranked 116th out of 147 countries, low despite being one of the world's fastest-growing economies. Rapid growth, it turns out, doesn't automatically buy happiness. The United States has quietly been falling in these rankings for years, dropping out of the top 20, dragged down especially by declining happiness among people under 25. And once again, Europe sits on top. Finland has been the happiest country in the world for 9 years in a row, with the other Nordic nations right behind it. High trust, strong social safety nets, and low corruption turn out to matter more than raw wealth. The deepest lesson of this whole video might be this: the countries that kept prices stable, corruption low, and trust high are also the happiest. Money buys comfort, but trust buys happiness. So let's bring it all together. Over the past 15 years, India saw the steepest price rises, fuel more than doubled, groceries climbed relentlessly, driven by steady mid-level inflation. but India remains unbeatable for cheap medicine and is improving on corruption. The United States stayed cheapest for fuel and kept inflation low over the long run, but pays the highest healthcare and education costs on Earth. And Europe, the most expensive place to buy fuel and food, quietly wins where it matters most. The cleanest governments, free or cheap education and healthcare, and the happiest people on the planet. 3 economies, 3 completely different stories. Which one would you choose to live in? Tell me in the comments. And if you found this comparison eye-opening, subscribe, because every week I break down the numbers that actually shape our world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.